Hello everyone, this is Spliced, and today I wanted to give you guys a pretty interesting video, something a little bit more personal, something about my past, the top 5 personal favorite games that I've played in my lifetime. This will probably not include games that you guys even know about. It might not. There's some that you guys might know, but some you might not. I have no idea, but I just wanted to share this interesting little thing that I wanted to put out in the world and just let you guys know about, something that, really connects to me a little bit. But before I get into this video, I want to make a little bit of an announcement. In my previous update video, I did mention as a joke a petition to sign for the Lawbringer rework return, just for one video only, just to see the Lawbringer. And that was it. That was just a little joke, and I said it was not gonna happen. And turns out I was kind of correct, because there's no way that I could really see anyone banding together and getting all the subs of my channel to get to a website and start signing a petition. However, there has been multiple petitions being made for me, like actually petitions were actually being made, and that kind of that's kind of funny. But also it kind of shows me that a lot of you guys really genuinely want me to make a video on the Lawbringer. And so after racking my brain for this for a very long time, I am going to make a decision right here, right now. In the description there is a straw poll, and it's just gonna have a yes or no. If you guys want to see a Lawbringer rework video, please do not consider my own personal interest in the game or anything like that. It has nothing to do with this. This video would be strictly for you guys 100%, and I'm more than happy to make the video if you guys want that. So again, in the description there's a straw poll if you guys want me to make a Lawbringer rework video, and I won't have any strings attached to it or anything, no hatred towards the game or anything you guys might think. I literally will give an open mind, and I'll just have a good time with the video, and that'll be that. So there you go, just wanted to make that quick little announcement. But with that being said, I want to get into my top 5 personal favorite video games that I've played in my entire life. Alright, so coming at number 5, this one is actually kind of a classic. It is called Rollercoaster Tycoon 2. If you guys have played this game, then you know how addicting it would be for a kid to play this game. I played this game when I was around 10 years old, maybe even younger. I'm not really quite sure, but I do know that when it came out, I could not put it down. I would always play the game, and I would make custom maps, or I'd make custom roller coasters all the time, and controlling the park, and maybe even a little bit of evil, sinister actions behind the scenes. Of course, you gotta have a little bit of that, devastating the park and whatnot. But this game, if you guys have not played it, is definitely such a fun game. There's so much to it that I can't really explain or put words into. It's like that sense of you have the power to make your park really well or make your park fail, but when you start seeing your park expand and start seeing more people come in and seeing the money flow and all the people riding the roller coasters that you made and them enjoying it, it actually starts giving you a really good feeling. And Rollercoaster Tycoon 2, I think, was the perfectly made 8-bit kind of game that at the time was definitely on the top of the list for me, that I just could not put down. I would play it every single day. Alright, so coming in at number 4 is Dark Souls 2. This is actually more of a recent game in my list. This obviously came out in 2013 or 14, and the game is, what a superb game this is. I know a lot of people will disagree with me, but Dark Souls 2 is my favorite Dark Souls game out of all of them. A lot of people would say that, Dark Souls 1 had like the best map, the best setting, the best storyline, or Dark Souls 3 had like the best mechanics, so on and so forth. But personally, I just disagree. I know it's not really a popular opinion, but I definitely do like how Dark Souls 2 combined so much into one game. The combat was amazing. There's so many different ways to approach combat in both magic and melee. Not so much range, but there is ways to mix that in as well. You can get very creative with your builds, being strength or dexterity builds, whatever it is, and then the power stancing and all this wonderful, amazing stuff that goes into it as well. And then on top of that, the DLC, I think it was probably the best DLC out of all the Dark Souls. Dark Souls 1 had the one Abyss DLC. Dark Souls 3 had the two different ones, the Ashes of Ariandel and then the Ring City. And I just think that Dark Souls 3, with the 3 different packs, all of them together coming at a very cheap price for all the content that you got, all the armor and weapons, and then the enemies and the boss fights and everything. I thought it had the most replayability out of all the Dark Souls games, in my opinion, and I logged so many hours into this game, countless hours, and I think it was just, I personally just think it was my most favorite Dark Souls game, and it's definitely a game that I put in tons of hours in compared to all the other games that I've played in my life. Alright, now coming into number 3, this one's more of a not on the radar kind of list of an item that I don't really think many people have seen this game. It's called Empire Earth. Now, Empire Earth, not the second one, not the third one, or any of the spin-offs or whatever there might be. Empire Earth and the expansion Art of Conquest is probably, in my own biased opinion, the best real-time strategy game that has ever existed. It has every single epoch, starting from the prehistoric age all the way to the space age. You can do any kind of time era you want, and there is so much stuff in this game. You can make little tiny clubmen in the prehistoric era, all the way down to robots and spaceships in the space age. And then there's different kinds of maps. There's like islands with water, there's space islands, there's so many different things you can do. There's diplomacy, there's civilians that get your resources and stuff like that. And the bots itself, the actual AI, if you want to play offline, are very competitive bots, and it actually gives you a run for your money. And it is a game that you start playing but then end up just constantly playing over and over and over again. You can pick it up again when you leave it and then just come back the next day and load the save, and everything is right there, and you'll just start going again. And games can last a very, very long time depending on the difficulty of the enemy, the size of the map, how many enemies, whatever there might be. There isn't really an online for this anymore, obviously, because it was a very old game in the year 2000 and the servers went down. There are ways to get online connection, but if you're going to get this game or look it up anywhere, it's Empire Earth 1, and you should just play the campaigns or the AI versus. I promise you, it's a game that once you pick up, you won't want to put down. There's so much strategy to it as well. Simple things. It's like an easy to pick up but hard to learn, master kind of thing. Like certain characters, certain attacks, or certain enemies are good against other different kinds of characters in the game. And there's different ways of strategizing. You can build walls around your whole facility. It's like free reign kind of RTS where it's not limiting what you can do in the actual game. And I think that, I know I'm biased because I grew up with the game, but just looking at other RTSs and comparing, it looks like certain RTSs, you only start at certain eras in the game, and you can't go beyond that, which is fine. It's more concentrated. But I do believe for a game that came out in 1999 or 2000, whenever that might be, I think that they accomplished so much. The soundtrack is superb in this game, and you'll be humming it while you're playing, and it's just a really good time. So maybe check that game out if you guys are interested. Alright, so coming in at number 2, this one was actually, this is going to come to a surprise to some people who know me personally, but it's actually not number 1. The number 2 game for me is Dungeons and Dragons Online. Now I know that there's a handful of you that have probably tried the game, but I know for a fact that there isn't a lot of you guys who have played the game for a very long amount of time. If you want to know how much time I've spent on this game, this is my first like big MMO next to RuneScape. This is like my 3D MMO that I got into. Everyone else moved to like World of Warcraft. I would move to Dungeons and Dragons, mainly because my sister got me into it. But it was at such a young age that I started this game, and I could not put it down. It's just like, it just took so much out of my life, and I played it every single day. I probably logged over like 15,000, 20,000 hours on this game easily. Not proud of saying that, but it's definitely a game that is ingrained into my mind. Right now, it's more of a love-hate relationship to this game. I don't really like it anymore. It's a shell of its former self. but it does have its merits to it that does bring me back for a brief amount of time just to enjoy the nostalgia mostly. This game is based off of the pen and paper Dungeons and Dragons, but it has its online MMO elements, so you're not going to be sitting there in a turn-based kind of strategy. It's not like that. It's simple combat and everything like that. The difference that I like on DDO more than like World of Warcraft or any of these other games, for example, is the combat mostly. It's not automatic combat. You manually input your keys and attacks. When you right-click, you attack like kind of like Dark Souls. And I think that's really amazing. The damage is very streamlined. Everything is all streamlined and very easy to understand if you understand the core mechanics of Dungeons and Dragons, which I had to learn over time as a kid. But on top of that, I like how the leveling works, where you go into dungeons instead of just killing monsters randomly in like outside of a city, and then you just kill like some slugs and level up. I think that's a really dumb leveling system, and fetch questing is not really a thing in this game either. You go into a dungeon and you clear out the whole dungeon, and you get to the end and you do all the objectives that the dungeon tells you to do, and when you finish it, then you get the XP. And there's ways of getting more XP throughout the dungeon. Example, like breaking boxes or killing a certain amount of enemies gets you even more XP, and you get all the way up. And the cool thing about this game, compared to all the other MMOs that I've seen ever, which is really interesting, is it's like the only game that has this mechanic that I know of, and that is true reincarnation to your characters, meaning you can set your character all the way back down to level 1 and keep all your items, but you get new bonuses to your character. So when you get them back up to the max level, you have extra bonuses, and there's lots of ways of customizing your character, and there's free reign of what you get to use with your character as well, which is what I love about this game so much compared to other ones. For example, if you play on World of Warcraft and you want to be a warrior, you are set to only wield, you know, swords and axes and whatnot. But in DDO, if you want to be a barbarian that holds a staff, fuck it, you can do it. There's no reign on anything you can do. You could be a wizard that uses a great axe. If you can make it work, it works. And there are builds that people have found with certain classes that just blow my mind sometimes, where it's like a halfling that's using like a longbow and then a crossbow like staff, and he can disable traps. And there's so many different things you can do, so many different builds. However, as much as it sounds like a great game, it has not dated well. It stayed in its own kind of graphics of 2005, and it has not really evolved so much in terms of innovation. They kind of just add new content, but the content itself is not really necessarily fun or new and interesting. And the unfortunate part is that the player base has kind of died down a lot, so a lot of communities have been put in their own little guilds, little tiny cubby holes. So if you're a new player, you are totally on the streets and no one will welcome you into their home, and it's really hard to get started, really hard to understand all the mechanics, all the quests and everything like that. But as someone who is a veteran of the game and has been playing it his entire life pretty much, I gotta say that yeah, this game holds a spot in my heart, and I absolutely love it. Alright, so even after all I've said about Dungeons and Dragons Online, how could it not be the #1 spot on my list? Well, that's because there's something else that has actually gotten a little soft spot for me, and it's kind of weird because I don't really like this kind of theme, the nitty-gritty of it, or the music per se. I'm not really a fan of, but there's something else that I don't know, there's something about it that I really enjoy. And the game that I'm talking about is a very old game. It's on the PlayStation 1. Some people might already know what I'm talking about when I'm saying this, but the game that I'm talking about is Twisted Metal 2. Twisted Metal 2 specifically. This game is, wow, what a revolutionary game. It has definitely like set the premise for so many different things. I think it's like one of the first games ever that has a destructible environment as well, which was absolutely amazing to me. It blew my mind. Twisted Metal 2 is, wow, dude, it's one of the first games that I think I had played when I was a kid. Not really a great thing to admit. I was like 5 when I started playing this game. And Twisted Metal, there's just something about it that just, you know, sparked stuff in my mind. It sparked my imagination. I loved it. I loved the characters, loved the vehicles. The destruction was just like mind-blowing to me, and it was so amazing to watch and play this game at the same time. And then of course its predecessors that came out, you know, the sequels like Twisted Metal 3, Twisted Metal 4, Twisted Metal Black, Twisted Metal Head-On, all these other games. They're cool, they were great, they were fun, but I always would look back and look at Twisted Metal 2 as the game that started everything for me. And the reason why I'm not saying Twisted Metal 1 is mainly because I didn't play it, and also Twisted Metal 2 was the revolutionary version of it. There's not really much to say about Twisted Metal 2. I just think that the game was, it's a really amazing, fun game to play. If you guys could try to find a way of playing it online, I know that the PlayStation 5, I think, is going to have backwards compatibility. So if you guys have Twisted Metal 2, maybe you could play it. Who knows? I don't know if that's going to work. But either way, all I wanted to say is that, yeah, Twisted Metal 2 was definitely something that holds something close to my heart. And if they ever did announce another Twisted Metal that were to come for PS4, PS5, you bet your ass I'm going to be buying that PlayStation on the spot. So there you go, guys. This is just a little different video. I just wanted to share a little bit something personal that I do, that I had like in my mind for a while, and I just wondered if you guys wanted to know about this. Regardless or not, there you guys go. My top 5 personal favorite games in my entire life. Of course, I haven't played every single game. I haven't played every single AAA game or anything like that, but the ones that I grew up with usually have the ones that impact on you. Let me know. I'm really interested. What are your personal favorite games for you growing up? And I'm not saying, like, you know, name the games that, you know, were really popular for you at the time. I'm saying the ones that really connected to you, you know, maybe something that no one even knows about. Just name them in the comments. I'm kind of interested in knowing. Yeah. So there you guys go. Hope you guys did enjoy, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.